I'm sorry for your loss. She's in a better place now. At least he's no longer suffering. She's gone to be with the angels. When we learn that somebody has died, we often struggle to find the words to comfort the family members that they have left behind. Based on the feedback that I've received from the children and families that I've worked with, typically these statements do not provide the comfort that we think that they do. When the most important person in your life has died, sorry for your loss does not even begin to cover the immense amount of heartbreak and emptiness that a person is feeling. So what should we say? What should we do? Honestly, I'm not sure I have the answers, but my experience in working with families at SIBSPlace for the last 20 years has helped me come up with some suggestions. The lessons I share are the messages that were sent to me from the families that have trusted me to be part of their journey. I often reflect on my first childhood experience with grief. It was when my grandfather died. I was in the 6th grade, and I remember clearly seeing my father crying, which was a first, as he told me and my siblings that his dad had died. Later on, my younger sister and I met with our school principal so we could process our loss. She read to us a story about the life cycles of nature, and we said a prayer, and she sent us back to class. I remember leaving her office feeling so angry. For me, the story was a complete miss. It didn't connect to my sadness or help me understand death in a better way. Later on in life, when I started working with grieving children, a colleague suggested we read the same book to our group, and I had a visceral reaction. I immediately said no. I think it was a trigger for me. It brought me back to a painful time in my life when my preteen self couldn't process my loss with a simple story and a prayer. When I asked my younger sister about her memory of that day, she had only positive experiences. She actually loved the book. She had an entirely different experience. And I realize now that this was my first lesson learned in helping children to process loss. Every member of a family is going to grieve in their own way. What may help one child may not help the other. Parents are going to experience their grief in an entirely different way than their children will. As we support grieving members of a family, it is important that we make sure we provide the care and comfort that works best for each individual. Years later, I worked with a mom named Dee. She was a single mom with 2 boys who were 8 and 6 years old. She had a demanding full-time job as a physical education teacher, and she was coping with cancer for most of her children's lives. Despite being so sick, she had a smile on her face every day, and she was a burst of energy. Her children and everyone around her had no idea of the severity of her illness. The night before she was heading in for a planned procedure, we happened to have an event at our program, and her son stood up in front of the whole entire group and announced how much he loved his mom and how he was so proud of her. It was almost like he knew he needed to have this last shared moment with her. We knew she was having the surgery, but nobody knew how risky it was, and we were shocked to find out that she had died during the operation. For her boys, this was a traumatic loss, and it came with a lot of secondary losses. Their uncle, who lived 2 hours away, would now become their guardian. So that meant they were going to lose their home, their school, their friends, all of their support systems. Within a day, their lives had become completely upended. Because Dee was such an active member of our group, the other families and the staff, we all deeply mourned her loss as well. I remember us all coming together, and we just cried. As confident as I thought I was in managing anticipatory grief, I realized that when death happens, it still comes as a shock. When a significant person in your life has died, you need to mourn that loss. And the support from friends, family, and the community is so essential. More recently, I've been working with a dad and his teenage daughter who is in tremendous pain around the death of her mom. During an emotional interaction, she shared with her dad, she said, "Dad, I know you were doing your best. I know you're doing everything you can for us. But sometimes I just need you to listen. I just need you to stop trying to fix my problems and give me a hug. She then burst into tears, and I watched the dad get up from his seat and walk across the room and embrace his daughter. The three of us sat there for a solid 10 minutes, Dad holding his daughter until she stopped crying. That interaction made it so clear how important it is to create a safe space where families can openly communicate what their emotional needs are. For that dad, he needed to take action. He needed to fix things. But for his young daughter, she just needed to cry. She needed to feel her pain, and then she needed that hug. Parents often want to find a way to make it all better. It's hard to see our children in such extreme pain, and we want to do everything we can to make it go away, and we feel powerless when we can't. But children and parents need to be in their grief together. They need to release their feelings. They need to talk about the person who's died. Parents look to their children for ways that they can express loss. Parents who can cry and actively grieve in front of their children are actually serving as role models, and children will learn from this. It's crucial that we provide different lifelines of support for grieving individuals. Knowing that there is someone there to listen without judgment and without providing suggestions enables a grieving person to not only express themselves, but to feel heard. Also, allowing people to grieve on their own timeline is critical. There is no magic moment where grief is going to end. There's this expectation that all a family needs to do is just get through that first year. But in reality, grief will last a lifetime, and the support from others will be needed just that long as well. Sure, there'll be more and more better days as time goes on, but there will also be days where the sadness and the sorrow will be present, and that's absolutely normal. One of the moms in our group right now lives by the mantra, don't should yourself. I think oftentimes we get caught up in all the things that we should be doing. It's okay when you're grieving to say no to that wedding you should go to, but you know it might be too painful. Or to not send your child to that daddy-daughter dance that she should go to, but maybe it's going to make her cry. Or even the pressures of what you should be serving your family for dinner. Takeout is okay. Cereal is okay. Crying in front of your children is okay. Having a PJ day is okay. Taking one moment at a time is okay. Reaching out for support is more than okay. And voicing what you need to grieve is also okay. The one message I try to give to the families we work with is that they should give themselves the grace and kindness to do the grief work. Grief is hard. It is work and it takes time. But you will get through the day, and you will find a way to make sure every member of your family is being supported, and you will find a way to honor the person that has died, and also to treasure the influence that person will have on you and your family for the rest of your lifetime. Friends and family members who are searching for ways to support a grieving person in their life, find a way to provide support. That is one of the greatest gifts you can give to a grieving individual. And someone who's coping with loss, accepting that help will help you on those hard days. It will help you feel less alone. It will help you embrace the love that surrounds you and the love you have within yourself. Thank you.